This happened a long time ago, but I still remember it way too clearly. Sometimes, especially at night, I replay everything in my head and wish I couldn't. I was just a kid back then, about 6 years old. At the time, I didn't understand what was happening. Now, as an adult, I'm sure of one thing. Something was very wrong with that house. In 1992, my family moved from the United Kingdom to Hungary. My father worked for an international company, and he was transferred to help open a new office in Budapest. Back then, Western companies were just starting to move into the country after the political changes. We settled in Budapest, in District 2, an area called Rozsadom. It was a quiet, green neighborhood built on hills, with old houses and narrow streets. Our house was located not far from Torokvész Road. The house was big, 2 floors, a basement, an attic, long hallways, and a large backyard with old trees. For a family like ours, it felt huge. I remember my parents being surprised by how cheap it was. Even for that time, the price didn't make much sense. But they assumed it was because of the economy and the recent political changes. At first, everything felt normal. I started attending the American International School of Budapest, located toward Nagykovácsi. It was a Christian school, but as a kid, I didn't care much about that. I just liked the food, the buses, and making new friends. At home, my sisters and I spent a lot of time playing in the backyard. The house felt big and empty in some places. Even during the day, certain rooms felt cold and uncomfortable, but I couldn't explain why. I shared a bedroom with my older sister. Our room was on the 2nd floor, directly above the living room. At night, we usually talked until we fell asleep. That night, we were exhausted. We fell asleep almost immediately. I woke up sometime in the middle of the night. There was no sound that woke me. I just opened my eyes. The room was dark, but I immediately noticed something was different. My sister was sitting on her bed. I couldn't see her face, only her silhouette. At first, I thought she was just awake. Then, she suddenly fell backward onto the bed. Not gently. She slammed down hard. The bed creaked loudly. I thought maybe she was moving in her sleep. But then she sat up again and fell back again. She kept doing it over and over. Sit up, fall back. The movements were fast and unnatural, like she was being pulled by something I couldn't see. The bed shook every time she hit it. I wanted to move. I wanted to say her name. I couldn't do anything. My body felt frozen. I could barely breathe. Then, suddenly, it stopped. She stayed sitting there completely still. After a moment, she slowly turned her head toward my bed. I couldn't see her face, but I knew she was looking directly at me. That was the most terrifying part. I shut my eyes as hard as I could. I told myself it was a nightmare. I don't know how much time passed, but eventually I forced myself to move. I jumped out of bed and ran toward her. And then, everything was normal. My sister was lying down, sleeping peacefully. No movement, no shadows, nothing. I shook her and woke her up, panicking, telling her what I saw. She was annoyed, half asleep, and told me to stop scaring her. She said she hadn't moved at all. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. After that, the house never felt the same. I constantly felt watched, especially at night. I started asking my parents to leave lights on in the hallway. They thought I was just scared of a new place. A few weeks later, something else happened. One morning, I woke up to my mother screaming. I wasn't in my bed. I was hanging upside down from the second-floor staircase, caught by my pajamas on the wooden railing. My head was facing the floor below. I didn't remember how I got there. My father ran out and grabbed me before I fell. They took me to St. Janos Hospital. The doctor said I was sleepwalking. They told my parents it was common in children and linked to nightmares. But it kept happening. I woke up in hallways, near the front door, standing on the stairs. Sometimes I was just standing still, staring at nothing. My parents became scared. They were very religious people, and eventually they decided this wasn't just medical. They invited a Catholic priest from the church called St. Ferenc Sabbae Templum, not far from our house. The priest spent over an hour in our bedroom. We waited downstairs. When he came out, his face was tense and pale. He kept looking up at the ceiling under our room. He spoke quietly to my parents. I could tell something was very wrong. That same day, we packed our things and checked into a hotel near Deák Ferenc Square in central Budapest. A day later, my parents hired workers to inspect the house. They opened the ceiling below our bedroom. Inside, they found a hidden compartment. There was a small bag filled with animal bones, and a small figure made from the same bones, tied together and hanging upside down by a thin string. After that, the house was sold immediately. We stayed in Hungary for about another year, then moved back to the UK. My parents became even more religious. I went in the opposite direction. I still believe in God, but churches make me uncomfortable. That house in Rotterdam taught me something I'll never forget. There are things that exist whether we believe in them or not, and sometimes they let us know they're there. And that wasn't the last strange thing that ever happened to me.
If you have a scary story of your own and want to share it, send it to my email. The address is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.